I will wait some minutes just to let people enter and access. So looking forward to start with all of you. I am Marco. I will be the moderator, facilitator for the session of this evening. And in some minutes, I will start to introduce all our guests and objectives of this session and this project in general. Welcome, everyone.
Ciao.
Okay, good evening. Welcome, everyone. I am Marco from Humanity organization, and I will be the moderator of this event, of this webinar session for the project Heartmony. You see the title of this session, it's Balkan Route, the situation of migration flows in Bosnia. And so in few seconds, I will start to introduce the objective of this session and our speakers as well. So we wait just 1 minute, 2 minutes for the last people to enter, and then we will start. Okay, welcome everyone.
Ciao Marco, ciao a tutti.
Welcome everyone. Okay, so I think we can start. I see people still arriving, but we have our schedules to follow. So I will start going with the first presentation to introduce you this project. Okay, so let me start just with the presentation of the program of today, our menu, we could say. I hope it's a nice and rich menu for all of you. So first of all, we will start with the introduction of Heartmony project. And this is a project funded by the European Union in the called capacity building in the field of youth. Then we will have as first speaker, the topic will be JRS, Jesuit Refugee Service, it's the acronym, and its engagement at the global level and in Bosnia and Herzegovina. Then the second topic today will be the migration flows in Bosnia in the last 5 years. And then the third aspect will be a very hard topic, so the criminalization of refugees in Bosnia right now. In the end, we will conclude with some experience of young people who have participated to the training session and the workshop foreseen in this project Heartmony, directly from Bosnia. Then we will have a question and answer session with you, so that case you will have the opportunity to ask to the speakers any question. And then we will conclude and invite you to the next session, because as you will see, this is not the last appointment we're going to have together. Okay. So just some notes, technical notes at the beginning, important for the management of the event. So please keep your microphone in mute mode, except in the stage of question and answer session, for sure. You can use the chat to send questions and comments. We kindly ask, if you can, to keep your camera on just to show you and be visible. Just to specify that the session in this case will be only in English, so we hope it's fine for most of you. At a certain point, there will be some strong impact images, videos about the situation of refugees. So just be aware of this. We're talking about a very hard topic, and so also the images will correspond to this. Then, yes, the session will be recorded. So I don't know if the direction has already launched the registration, the recording, but please do it right now. And then, okay, perfect. And then you could ask us to get the link with the video registration at the end if you are interested to send also this webinar to other people interested, or you could not follow all the sessions today. Okay, so I think these are the basic information. So let's go and start talking a little bit more about the project. So let's introduce the partnership. We have a very qualified and complementary partnership here. So New Humanity is the applicant NGO from Italy. It's an organization accredited at the United Nations. Then we have Cooperativa Gianrosso. I've seen some members here as guests. Gianrosso is working in the field of arts and social inclusion as well. Then we have the organization Dance Lab Armonia from Italy, that are committed as well in the fields of art, but clear as the name says, we're talking about dance. Then we have the Fundación Giordani in Spain, an organization committed for youth empowerment and social inclusion as well. Humanité Louvel from Lebanon, the same. The organization is committed in the field of capacity building for youth and social inclusion. And then I don't have to introduce the Caritas partner. I think most of you know the role and the commitment in the social field of the Caritas. So we have Caritas Lebanon, Caritas Egypt, and Caritas Banja Luka, together with JRS, with the guest of this session as speaker. They are doing the local activities in Bosnia. So this is our partnership. Just from the a list of countries, you can better try to understand why we're talking about migration. No, so all these countries, Italy, Spain, Lebanon, Egypt, and Bosnia, are crossed from these migration flows. So right now, I take the opportunity to, first of all, thank the Youth for a United World that are hosting us in the Zoom space and YouTube space as well. And they're taking care of the direction of this webinar. And the important thing to say is that we are cooperating among Heartmony project and in Youth for United World for this particular campaign, project, pathway, we can call it, called Embrace Humanity, which means 1 year dedicated to deepen social aspect and take initiative in the social field with the youth-led commitment, youth-led initiatives. So right now, Russell from the direction could launch the video of Embrace Humanity, the video spot, so you can understand more about this project. Thank you. Okay, thank Russell. I think it's very clear the purpose of this project. So now I will share my screen again. So right now, let's see a little bit, let's go deeper on the Heartmony project. What does it mean, no? So we have these keywords that are really close to the campaign that you have just seen. So let's start from the ABC, so the meaning of the title of the project. No, so we have the word heart. This because the project aims to enhance, strengthen in young people their empathy and solidarity towards vulnerable groups. In the specific case, migrants and refugees. Then we have the word art. This is why we have the cooperation with Gian Rosso and Dance Lab, because we think that art, it's a tool that goes beyond all the borders and allows as well the refugees and migrants to express creativity and talents, and also the young people who will be protagonists doing local workshops oriented to these vulnerable groups. And then the word harmony, which means develop personal but also collective communitarian well-being, no, together. So this is the meaning of the project. So then other important keywords or approach that we are using we could call it, to simplify, not by bread alone approach, we said, which means that we are not focusing in this big challenge of migration flows just on humanitarian aids, which are really important for sure. They are necessary. But we know that there are a lot of organizations committed for this, a lot of support for this. But what is missing is taking care of the dignity and the individual development also of these migrants and refugees that often for years, for months, they are just stopped somewhere in the camps, outreach, etc. And we know that even if some of them could have some talents, artistic talent, or they simply desire to have moment more soft, of relax, etc., they could have art as an important tool, no? So this is why we have decided to organize as well this project. And then the last thing is, yes, as I mentioned before, we're talking about a global challenge. So we cannot talk about migration just looking from one angle, from one perspective. But this is why we have constituted this consortium of NGOs, of partner, Italy, Spain, Lebanon, Bosnia, and Egypt. There is also difference among them. Some countries are more short transit countries, others are long-term staying destination countries. And also the migration flows are really different from Northern Africa, Sub-Saharan Africa, Afghanistan, Iraq, Syria, etc. Sub-Saharan Africa, as I mentioned. And also right now we have the Ukrainian, unfortunately. And during this session, you will see as well that JRS is organizing activities with people from Cuba, just to give you the idea of the dimension of the challenge. And so the objective of these sessions will be to offer you a wider perspective on migration flows. In order to do this, we have already made one session organized by Spain. Today we have Bosnia, and the following months we will have Italy, Lebanon, and Egypt organizing their session. So what are the objectives of the project? I started to say something already, but first thing is reinforcing people capacities to deliver arts workshop for young refugees. And to do this, we have organized already several training sessions on music, dance, and intercultural dialogue for young people. And afterward, we can listen to Roberta's experience at the end of the session. Then the main topic of today, raising people awareness about the international dimension of migration flows. And then doing all these activities, we are reinforcing our networking, international cooperation among the partner organizations. So today, clearly, we are focused on this objective. Why it is so important to talk about migration flows right now? Well, I have just put here some data, but then afterwards, JRS will give us their direct experience on the field. So these are data showing that last year we have 6 million new permanent immigrants, not including Ukrainian refugees, with a record level in 2022. And then also we should consider that right now we have also the challenge of Ukrainian, the Ukrainian refugee crisis is the largest displacement in Europe since World War II. So it's clear that it's a very important issue. Then other data, just to offer you some idea of the numbers, 110 million people forcibly displaced worldwide, double compared to 2013. So in 10 years, we have doubled this amount of people, no? 35.3 million refugees displaced across the borders, 62.5 million internally displaced, so they are still in their country, etc. So just some data to be highlighted for you. Okay, so I think that this is enough for the introduction. So right now we can start the session, and I will give the floor to Emina from JRS, and she will talk about, first of all, she will introduce her organization, which is a global organization, JRS, and then she will put a focus as well on Bosnia, so the topic of today, and then we will go on with the session. So Emina, the floor is yours, and welcome and thank you for your presence today.
Hello, Marco. Hello, everybody. And I'm very happy to be here with you today and to have this opportunity to share the experience. But before everything, I would like to ask the host to play the short video so we can have a nice introduction.
Yeah, I am from Pakistan. My name is Mohammed Yusuf. I am live in here, Bosnia. Maximum 8 or 9 months in here. We are very bad life in here. Our situation is no good life and eating and water. We want to the European countries. Everyone help me. We are live in here 75 guys, but our food and anything situation is no good. Please help us. We need help in our European countries. Thank you so much. I don't speak other. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm gonna start with the presentation. So our vision is to help displaced people to attain the protection, to give them different opportunities, and to allow them to participate in social life. Oh, it's not working. Our mission is to seek to accompany and serve. I'm so sorry. I'm having some technical issues. I'm so sorry.
Maybe Emina can start with the presentation. You just tell me when I have to change.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Okay, so wait a second.
So we are on slide number 2.
Okay, Russell is doing it. Okay, good. So you can go, Emina, please.
Thank you so much. So our mission is to seek to accompany, serve, and advocate the cause of forcibly displaced people so that they might heal, learn, and determine their own future. To promote reconciliation among the forcibly displaced people we serve and between them and their host community. Deliver education from early childhood to adult learning, with a special focus on holistic and nurturing hope. So now I would like to tell something about the history of work of JRS. So the beginning of the work of JRS go back to the time of the war in 1994. After the opening of the first office of the Jesuit Refugee Services in Bosnia, the main focus was on refugees who were forced to leave their homes due to the events caused by the war. In those 3 pictures that we have, you can see that those are people that were hurt by the landmines. We were also giving out different NFIs. What I mean about it is the non-food items. The JRS office in the capital of Bosnia and Herzegovina dealt with the problem until the end of 1998, after which it stopped working. On the next slide, you're able to see that the Jesuit Refugee Services until 2018 has no activities on the territory of Bosnia and Herzegovina. In the mentioned year, the office was reactivated with the arrival of a large number of refugees and migrants from Afghanistan, Pakistan, Iran, India, Cameroon, and other countries, especially countries of the Middle East, to the territory of Bosnia and Herzegovina. With the arrival of the mentioned people to the territory of Bosnia, throughout so-called Balkan routes, JRS Bosnia of Herzegovina meets the needs already in the first few months. The first activities that were carried out, they were from the first volunteers of JRS at the time. In the first camp or place, it was Sedra Hotel, located near the town of city of Tazin, and Borici Student Dormitory in Bihać, into the temporary reception centers. The mentioned activity was carried out in cooperation with the International Organization for Migration, IAM Bosnia and Herzegovina. With the moving of beneficiaries into the temporary reception centers, larger JRS activities within the centers also begin. Namely, already in the first few months, in cooperation with the partner organization, Danish Refugee Council, DRC, we're starting projects where we put the 19 different translators at the services of all displaced people of all languages spoken by migrants and refugees, such as Arabic, Urdu, Persian, Pashto, Punjabi, Spanish, French, and etc. Throughout this project, our translators served over 15,000 displaced people in Unasana Canton and Sarajevo Canton by visiting health institutions. Since 2018, we have been present in all temporary reception centers. In addition to the translations, we offered within the centers also translated for the government institutional, for example, Cantonal Prosecutor's Office, Ministry of the Interior, Canton, and municipal courts. And we had over 4,000 hours of translations. In this way, JRS straightened the connection with government institutions and also provided refugees with the possibility of different communications for solving many problems. From 2018 to April 2022, translations was the main focus of JRS, in addition to other social activities, such as our organization of cultural workshops on the occasion of important days of the year, sports activities, creative workshops, and etc. That we implemented in all temporary reception centers. On our next slide, from April 2022, and with the finishing of the translation project, we focused on social activities, getting closer to migrants and refugees, and advocating for their rights. In the period of after April 2022, by organizing a large number of activities outside of the temporary reception centers, we're trying to change the attitude of the local population about people on the move. Through the possibility of computer science, English, Bosnian language courses in all centers, we offer migrants and refugees the possibility of easy integration into our society. So now I would like to ask the host to play our next video. That is the activity that we had with Cuban population. Enjoy.
Concédeme un ratito nada más, que bien.
Se rumora que su nombre es María, María, María. ¿Quién diría que me enamoraría aquel día, aquel día?
Hey, hola señorita, dis-moi si tu penses que c'est tout dit. Je ne sais pas danser, donc ce soir je me fais tout petit.
Ella, una señorita bella de la cabeza a los pies, pero lo que más me gusta es cuando habla francés.
Baila, baila, mamacita. Baila, baila, mamacita.
De ley hasta Francia, baby, que elegancia. Perfume Chanel Dior, baby, que fragancia. Está rica, delicious, you look scrumptious. I just wanna be inside, feel your emotion. Me mandas un emoji de eso que soy como el diablo. ¿Por qué no hablas de frente, baby? Háblame claro. En este cuento yo no quiero ser el malo. No mandes señales, vámonos directo al grano. Dime si tú y yo nos vamos al lugar lejano. Sigue ese movimiento, se rumora que su nombre es María, María, María. ¿Quién diría que me enamoraría aquel día, aquel día?
Hey, hola señorita, dis-moi si tu penses que c'est tout dit. Je ne sais pas danser, donc ce soir je me fais tout petit.
Ella, una señorita bella de la cabeza a los pies, pero lo que más me gusta es cuando habla francés.
Baila, baila, mamacita. Baila, baila, mamacita. Dis-moi ce que tu veux, dis-moi ce que t'attends de moi. Je t'ai vu apparaître et disparaître comme un ninja. T'entends des choses sur moi, tu te méfies, je le sais déjà. Je te retiens, tu m'échappes, silencieux comme un chat. Bon courage à celui qui te mariera. Je vais me contenter de t'appeler Maria. Sous le soleil de Santa Monica ou Santa Maria. Dis-moi ce que tu veux, dis-moi ce que t'attends de moi. Je t'ai vu apparaître et disparaître comme un ninja. T'entends des choses sur moi, tu te méfies, je le sais déjà. Je te retiens, tu m'échappes, silencieux comme un chat. Toujours à l'affût de quelques dinero. Pas facile d'aimer avec un cœur derrière les ballots. J'ai perdu beaucoup de sang, il serait temps de me faire un galop. Juste après la paix, on a ligné yo te quiero.
Se rumora que su nombre es María, María, María. ¿Quién diría que me enamoraría aquel día, aquel día?
Hey, hola señorita, dis-moi si tu penses que c'est tout dit. Je ne sais pas danser, donc ce soir je me fais tout petit.
Ella, una señorita bella de la cabeza a los pies, pero lo que más me gusta es cuando habla francés.
Baila, baila, mamacita. Baila, baila, mamacita.
Se rumora que su nombre es María, María, María. ¿Quién diría que me enamoraría aquel día, aquel día?
Okay, so now we can continue with the presentation. Okay, so you had opportunity to see one of our activity, but besides that, we have different activities such as camp activities, outreach, health program, dental optic services, day center, and reception center for unaccompanied minors. So now I would like to explain to you what are our camp activities. On the next slide, but besides that, we're also we're included into local community, and we have Ukrainian project. There are 4 camps in Bosnia and Herzegovina. 2 are in Sarajevo and 2 are in Bihać. We provide different activities, and we're organizing them, such as psychosocial activities, creative workshops, IT, barbershop. We also follow up different important days, such as World Immigration Day, Women's Day, Kids Day, and etc. And what is also important to mention is that we're cooperating with partnership organizations such as DRC, IPSI, Ministry of Security, IAM, and etc. Next is outreach activities. Those are locations that are outside of the camps. Usually, migrants are in old and abandoned houses and in different shelters. We provide different NFI, non-food items such as clothes, shoes, also power banks, chargers, raincoats. Also, we organize different cooking, sports, and cleaning activities, and in that way, we're trying to bring them back their dignity that they have lost on the way. The next activity is our health program. In this health program, we provide dental services and optics. Like their checkup and glasses and some medical aid. All of that we're organizing together with DRC organization. Next activity is Day Center. It's a nice, cozy place that we call Safe Place. We're trying to be part of their birthday celebrations, to organize cooking activities. We're also providing a place where they can charge the phones, be creative in arts and crafts. So they're also able to wash and dry their clothes. And we have a small warehouse with some things like clothes and shoes, so they can get ready for their road. Next project, the newest project, is our reception center for minors without company. It's the project of a place for minors where they can stay. We organize different activities, and all that project is financed by Caritas Switzerland, Caritas Bosnia Herzegovina. In that house, we also have psychologist, social worker, cook, and security. And this is the last video that I'm gonna ask the host to play. It's gonna represent better our reception center in Sarajevo.
Dobrodošli. Ovo je kuća puna ljubavi i podrške za sve one koji u ovom trenutku najviše trebaju.
U Sarajevu je ovog ljeta Isusovačka služba za izbjeglice u suradnji sa Ministarstvom sigurnosti Bosne i Hercegovine, Kantonalnim centrom za socijalni rad, Caritasom Švicarske i Caritasom Bosne i Hercegovine otvorila prihvatni centar za maloljetnike tražitelja azila i ranjivu djecu bez pratnje.
Kuća nudi topli dom svoje maloljetnoj djeci koja prolaze kroz našu zemlju dok bježe od strašnih stvari koje se dešavaju u njihovim zemljama. I zato je jako važno da se osjećaju sigurno i prihvaćeno dok borave kod nas.
Tokom boravka na raspolaganju svako od njih ima siguran smještaj, redovno kuhana, 3 obroka i južine koje se sa puno ljubavi prema ovoj djeci spremaju upravo ovdje. Zatim medicinsku skrb, psihosocijalnu i pravnu podršku kao i brojne društvene aktivnosti koje se posebno planiraju kako bi upotpunili svoje slobodno vrijeme.
Vrijeme koje provedemo skupa ponekad je vrlo kratko, ali je jako značajno. Trudimo se učiti, osnažiti i dati im vjetar u leđa.
Po dolasku u centar čekaju ih sve neophodne higijenske potrepštine, kao i čista odjeća i obuća. Nastojanja svih ljudi uključenih u projekat jesu da im barem na trenutak približe osjećaj pripadnosti, da im pruže ljubav i da ova djeca znaju da nisu sama.
Okupljeni oko stola nastojimo biti njihova porodica koja im jako nedostaje. Vjerujemo da će se jednoga dana spojiti sa svojim roditeljima, braćom i sestrama i da će sav ovaj težak put biti dio daleke prošlosti. Mi smo tu da im pružimo ruku podrške koja im nedostaje.
Iako se u centru zadržavaju kratko, poznanstva i uspomene ostaju vječne.
Ovo su samo neki od uspomena koje smo stvorili zajedno. Gdje god da odu, ova djeca će uvijek biti dio nas.
Okay, our next project is a Ukrainian project that Ukrainians, you can find them, people from Ukraine, you can find them here in Doboy, Zenica, and Medjugorje. We're cooperating with the Red Cross Chitluk, and right now there is around 80 people. We also help out with the food packages, vouchers. We conduct different creative workshops with kids and families. Also, we buy different medicines and organizing different activities such as Women's Day and Christmas. As I already mentioned, we are involved into local community. Last year, we organized an activity with the Center for Social Work where we gave out around 50 packages of food and hygiene for vulnerable people like elderly people that live alone and they are in a very bad financial situation. We participated in different activities when there were floods here in Bihać. We gave out water, shoes, clothes, and we were filling in the bags with the sand. Also, we organized street food festival with Ipsia. Another activity that we're part of was projection of the movie The Swimmers. That was in different school, just like to awaken the empathy. And again, in these pictures at the bottom, you can see that we organized 2 different activities, such as World Down Syndrome Day and Kids with Autism Day. Last but not least, we also were receiving different volunteers from different countries, such as Italy, Germany, Austria, and Netherlands. Right now, we're cooperating with Jesuit volunteers and Pax Christi organizations from Germany, CRI from the Netherlands, and Sant'Egidio from Italy. Last year, we have received over 60 volunteers. They're helping us with the outreach locations and activities in those locations, helping in the organization of different activities, camp activities, organizing the warehouse, and we're always very happy to receive new volunteers. And something that I really like and I would like to share with you, and in that way I would like to finish my presentation, is we want our presence among refugees to be one of sharing them, accompanying them, of walking together along the same path. We want to feel what they have felt, suffer as they have, share the same hopes and inspirations, and see the world through their eyes. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Amina. It was really interesting and also really in line with the objectives of this Embrace Humanity. You're putting really in practice this motto, this slogan we have, and also the spirit of the Heartmony project. And thank you very much to JRS, to all the offices worldwide for the daily commitment and the inspiration they are giving to all of us. And so now I'm going to give the floor to Vedran and her colleague from Caritas Banja Luka as well, to introduce more to us the issue of migration flows, how they work, and specifically this Balkan route, so-called Balkan route. So welcome, Bedran. Thank you for being here, and I give you the floor to you.
Thank you, Marco, and thank you, Emina, as well for this great presentation. Welcome and thank you all for being here today with us. We are set to embark on exploration of one of the most important topics in the world in the last 5 years, also here in Bosnia, about migration flows in Bosnia and Herzegovina. This issue is not only pertinent due to the current global importance, but also because of profound and enduring effects it has on Bosnian society, economy, and cultural landscape. Now I will share my presentation with you so you can see more about the situation here in Bosnia, what is actually happening in the last 5 years here. I think that European countries are not involved enough in the migration situation here in Bosnia, and I also think that all together we need to work on this topic. So here you have a picture where you can see the situation. You can see the migrant route in Balkans, here in southeast Europe. As you can see in the picture from the left side, right side, from to Turkey, migrants and refugees are passing through Greece. After the Greece, through Macedonia, Kosovo, Serbia, and another side from Albania coming to Bosnia, and from Bosnia they are on the border with Croatia, here in the city of Bihać, and as well in Sarajevo. So as you can see, this map highlights the complexities of migration in whole region, including the challenges faced by migrants at heavily fortified borders and the paths that they take to reach their destinations. This map can be also used to discuss the political and humanitarian aspects of migrations in Europe, border management policies, and EU's role in handling migration flows, especially through the Western Balkans route. So, when we talk about migrations in Balkans, in Western Balkans, we can talk about that through two aspects. First aspect can be political aspect, and the second aspect can be humanitarian aspect. Political aspect, that means that political discourse surrounding migration in Europe is complex and often continuous. EU states have to balance their domestic policies, which may favor strict border controls, with international obligations to protect refugees and uphold human rights. And Nina already said, outreach project is the best project where we can monitor and see what is actually happening on the border with Croatia. And my colleague Kristina will mention more about these violent pushbacks and the situation and how this political aspect is really important in these topics. So the migration routes shown on this map, particularly to the Western Balkans countries, have been at the center of political debates on how to manage incoming migration flows, share responsibilities among member states, and address the root causes of migration. As I said, the second aspect is a humanitarian aspect. The humanitarian aspect is deeply intertwined with the migration journey. That means that this map actually indicates major routes that are fraught with perils for migrants, often leading to humanitarian crisis. Some of you probably heard for some wild camps here in Bosnia, especially Camp Vučjak in area of city of Bihać. That happened a few years ago, maybe 3-4 years ago, where we had a camp next to the Croatian borders, just a few kilometers from Croatian borders, where the biggest humanitarian crisis happened actually in that moment, because migrants who lived there in that moment. They couldn't no hygienic items and also water. EU's treatment of migrants, especially in the context of strict border controls marked by the this blue signs on this map show us how safety rights and of all the individuals and families who are attempting to cross the borders, are really critical. So humanitarian organizations as GRS, Caritas Banja Luka, IPSI, and all other organizations and our partners are often emphasize the need for safe and legal routes to prevent loss of lives and ensure the human treatment of the migrants. On the right side, you can see two small tables where you can see the number of migrants who went through Bosnia in last 5 years. So in the map reflects also more than just the physical movement of people. It also underscores the need for comprehensive and cooperative approaches to migration that consider the protection of human rights, the security of border, and the political will of EU member states. When we see the tables on the right side, that we can read a lot of important information. So considering the latest data, we know that the arrivals for the first week of December 2023 stand at 966 accordingly to IOM database. This figure might seem modest at first glance, but when faced with the context of annual aggregate, we uncovered that the year 2023 has already surpassed the total arrivals of the previous year by an impressive 13.5%. Comparing this year's number to those of 2021, as you can see, it was more than 15,000. There is an increase of nearly 90%, which could indicate improvement in economic conditions, shifts in migration policies, or other social political factors. It's also noteworthy that despite the global pandemic marking 2020, the arrival numbers in Bosnia remained stable, with a slight decrease of only 2.3%. What is the most significant thing is that statistics are undoubtedly the total number of irregular arrivals from 2018 to 2023 climbs to total number, what you can see, 143,000 migrants who passed territory of Bosnia and Herzegovina. All in all, these figures are not just like dry statistical data. They tell a story about dynamics and changes in Bosnia and Herzegovina. These trends can lay the groundwork for a deeper understanding of migratory movements and for the planning of policies and resources necessary to manage these processes in the future. But as I already said at the beginning, this is quite problematic because here in Bosnia we have a feeling that Europe is not, or European countries, EU are not looking at strong enough to the situation in Bosnia, especially because most of the money what the European government institutions are giving to Bosnia, giving to this to our area of Western Balkans, are going to Croatia, or especially to Croatia, to protect the borders. So sometimes we have a feeling that it's more important to protect the border instead to give some important things to the people on the move, like non-food items, food items, shelters, and all other things. So in the next slide, there are some also important information, and my colleague Kristina from Caritas Banja Luka will tell you something more about the next slide.
Hello, I would like to welcome you all. So for start, I will talk first about the temporary reception centers that we have in Bosnia and Herzegovina. So in Bosnia and Herzegovina, there are 4 temporary reception centers that play a crucial role in providing support to those seeking refugee. As you can see on the photo, on the first photo in the center, there are 2 camps in the Unasana canton and 2 camps in the Sarajevo canton. In Unasana canton, there are 2 camps, Camp Lipa and Camp Borić. Camp Lipa accommodates male under 18 years old, and Camp Borići accommodates minors and families. So it's important to note that all these centers are managed by the Service for Foreigners Affairs under the Ministry of Security, and they serve different purposes. Blažoj and Lipa are accommodations for individual ages 18 and above, and Ušivak and Borići provide temporary accommodation for families and unaccompanied minors. These centers provide comprehensive services to their residents, including 3 meals a day, medical care, comfortable accommodation, hygiene essentials, and clothing. Translation services are also available when they need to ensure effective communication. Additionally, residents have access to a variety of entertaining and educational activities, such as workshops, which further enrich their experience in the centers. These networks of temporary reception centers represent a crucial foundation of support for refugees and asylum seekers, underscoring the government's commitment and collaboration with various non-governmental organizations like JRS, like Caritas, and other non-government organizations in providing a safe and nurturing environment for those seeking refuge in Bosnia and Herzegovina. As you can see on this photo, we can see the top 5 nationalities that are now in accommodations in our temporary refugee centers. The most dominant is Afghanistan, then Morocco, then Syria, then Turkey, and Iran. This changes during the migrations. These nationalities changed. For example, when the migration started in 2018, the most dominant nationality was Pakistan, right now, and Afghanistan. As we can see for today's informations, Afghanistan is still in top 5 nationalities in temporary reception centers. On the right side, we can also see the sex and age of disaggregated data. We can see that most of the sex are male, single men. That means men over 18 years old. And then on this side, we can also see adults, children, and unaccompanied minors, and single women. Also on this side, we can see the top destinations. So the top destinations are Italy, Germany, France, Austria, and Belgium. The majority of representatives from Afghanistan stated that they wanted to go to Italy, while 26.8% stated that they wanted to go to Germany. Nationalities from Morocco stated that they wanted to travel to Italy and France. Also, on this corner, we can see the monthly arrivals recorded by the Ministry of Security of Bosnia and Herzegovina. So it's important to note also that all the camps are ruled by the Ministry of Security, one branch, and it is called the Service for Foreigners Affairs. So this is their data that you can find also online. So we can see from each month, from January to December, from 2017 to 2023, the arrivals per month. So we can see from the start to the 2023 that the data has increased. So now my colleague Vedran will tell more about the next topic.
So the next topic is seekers and persons under international protection in in Bosnia. So based on available data, first of all, I need to tell that it's really hard to find the information about the asylum seekers here in Bosnia, because organizations which are working with asylum seekers sometimes doesn't want to give us a lot of some information. So this data here are last updated in April 2023, and Bosnia has had a low acceptance rate for asylum applications. The majority of migrants who enter Bosnia do not want to remain here permanently. So many see Bosnia as a transit country on their way to other destinations or the other countries in European Union. So the numbers of individuals granted asylum in Bosnia have traditionally been low, not just in the last 5 years, generally since 1996 until today. The number of these individuals is really low. For instance, in 2018, reports indicates that less than 3%, so just 3% of applicants were granted asylum. In 2019, the number was slightly higher, but still significantly lower compared to the number of applications submitted. Additionally, there is a significant number of those who have been granted some other form of international protection, which is not formal asylum, but provides a certain form of temporary status. When I talk about that, I think to the persons under international protection, and in this situation now with Ukrainian refugees. So while the number indicates an increase in total arrivals and asylum applications in recent years, the number of approved asylum applications does not always follow this trend. Reason for the low rate of approved asylum applications may include strict criteria for approval. That's the main reason. Second reason is limited capacity for processing applications. Still the second reason. And the third, that migrants are just looking at Bosnia as a transit country. But still, I think that these first two reasons are more important, because there are people who are asking for asylum. In this picture on the right side, you can see that we had so I said these are information from April this year. 161 persons under international protection, 108 asylum seeker, Ukrainians 178. That means that there are people who wants to stay in Bosnia, especially when I talk about asylum seekers, 108, and then you can imagine that in a yearly basis, there are just 2, 3, maximum 4 asylums are granted. So on the left photograph, you can see our colleague from a local organization, Vaša Prava, in temporary reception center Blažuj in the area of Sarajevo, where he is reading from a booklet and providing information about asylum procedures in Bosnia and Herzegovina. Also on the right side, there are informational section divided into 2 parts: population of concern and other top 3 countries of origin. This data indicates that there are various groups of concern, as I already mentioned, and overall the image and the data suggests that Bosnia and Herzegovina is a host to a mix of migrants and asylum seekers for a range of countries with significant legal and humanitarian needs being addressed by local organizations like in this case, Vaša Prava, who are giving them important information about this topic. So the next slide is about pushbacks and about what is actually happening on the border with Croatia.
To oversee and regulate migratory movements, several European Union (EU) members states dedicate substantial resources to border surveillance. Within this framework, there have been documented instances of every denial and deportation that do not involve an individualized evaluation of the necessity for protection. Such occurrences are noted at the EU's internal border and within the territories of member states. Given the prevalence of these practices, which are institutionalized in certain nations, such pushbacks may be regarded more as elements of established national strategy than as sporadic of random measures. Many non-government organizations have observed, based on field experience, that migrants often arrive from pushbacks with various physical injuries inflicted by the Croatian border police. They frequently report both minor and more severe injuries. Additionally, instances of theft, including phones, money, and clothing, are common during the encounters. Due to the frequent pushback at the border, migrants increasingly find refuge in the abandoned houses, settlements, and forests in close proximity to the Croatian border, such as Velika Kladuša, particularly in the area of the Unasana canton. Recognizing the challenges posed by this illegal settlement pattern, the Service for Foreigners Affairs has addressed the issue through the regulation of relocation, moving migrants to make these locations and establish camps. So the Service for Foreigners Affairs does relocation with buses in cooperation with the border police of Bosnia and Herzegovina and with assistance of non-government organizations to relocate migrants to the established camps. So now my colleague will talk more about the next topic.
Here is one really important article about the pushbacks, where German medias were hidden in the woods and they recorded what is actually happening here on the border with Croatia. So I would host, please, can you give us a video now in this moment? I think the video will tell you more than me. Marco, we cannot see the video.
Yes, because Vedran, you should stop your presentation, close the sharing, and then you can send the video. Okay. Thank you.
Did you ask for asylum? Did you say you want asylum?
Yeah, some people was minor, you know, I am also minor and this people is also minor, so He did not do anything. He did not give asylum. He beat him. He's minor, but he beat him.
Where did he beat you?
The videos and reports of pushbacks and violence at the EU's external borders that were released yesterday, that you referred to, are very concerning. Acts of violence and mistreatment of migrants, asylum seekers and refugees are unacceptable and they must be investigated. Full respect of fundamental rights, in particular in the management of external borders of the EU, is essential to the European Commission, and the Commission strongly opposes any pushback practices and has repeatedly emphasized that any such practices are illegal and that national authorities have the responsibility to investigate any allegations with a view to establishing the facts and to properly follow up on any wrongdoing.
So this is just a small part about the pushbacks. We organization the last 5 years we had opportunity to see this every single day in our office because our office is 2-3 kilometers far from Croatian border. So I already talked about our activities. One of these activities were outreach activities where we had a lot of volunteers, especially from Italy, who were coming on a weekly basis to help us, to help our beneficiaries, to help the people on the move, especially after these violent pushbacks. So if there is some of us who want to see more, maybe some pictures to hear more about our activities or about our experiences, you can free to contact us. For the end, just a second. Here is one story about one of our beneficiaries who was here in Bosnia and who tried to cross the border 22 times, I think. And then after that, she finally reached Croatia, where our colleagues from Croatian office, JRS Croatian office, welcomed her and helped her to integrate into society and to go through asylum procedures. So here is a story. I can give you a minute to read, and then I will finish with this, and I'm sure I'm open for your questions if there are any. Okay.
Okay, thanks, Vedran, for your presentation, because you helped us to focus more on the legal and political background of this challenge, which is a really important perspective. For sure, the practice of pushbacks is the contrary of our title, Embrace Humanity. And but it's the reality, and so it's really important to highlight it. And again, to thank JRS and Caritas for the effort they're doing to help the refugees with this issue. And then moving to the third part of the session, and then afterwards we can have the question. Now we'll give the floor to Amina, and I will ask the host to send their presentation. In the meanwhile, just to say that often these vulnerable groups are subject as well of hatred, hate speech, etc. And also there is this issue of criminalization of refugees, no, in the local context where they are hosted and where they are staying, etc. No? So we have an interesting case study of the situation in Bosnia right now. And so I give the floor to Amina. Thank you for being here, for your intervention.
Thank you, Marco. Good evening, everyone. As you have already introduced, the topic of my presentation is the research on criminalization of migrants with a focus on Bosnia and Herzegovina, specifically the Sarajevo canton in the period from 2018 to 2020. I began exploring this topic about 2 years ago, and I really appreciate the opportunity to present the results of my research. So when it comes to the mass migrations, it is evident that mass migration has significant criminal potential, both in terms of origin and in a way migrants arrive in Europe. However, the question that remains, and the question I was interested in, is what is the contribution of migrants to the overall crime picture in our country, and what is their criminal potential. I also examined the role that media plays in the criminalization of migrants and how the issue of migration is constructed in the Bosnian public discourse, taking into account the reports from the Ministry of Internal Affairs of the Sarajevo canton regarding criminal offenses committed by migrants. I demonstrated that the increase in the criminalization of migrants does not correspond to the overall increase in crime in this area. As a result, the purpose of this research was not to determine whether migrants are more criminal than locals, than citizens, but rather to understand how statistics, how narratives and practices correlate or do not correlate with this common assumption. So the main hypothesis of this research is that during the increased arrival of migrants in Sarajevo canton in 2018 and the period immediately thereafter, there was no increase in the total number of recorded criminal offenses. Regarding the limitations of this research, which I had, and its accuracy, difficulties that arose during the research primarily stemmed from the lack of criminological literature on the criminalization of migrants in general. And additionally, when conducting research from a criminological perspective, as I did, it is impossible to avoid introducing the victim aspect. Focusing on the impact of crime on victims could not be taken into account in this research. The reason for this was a lack of research on victims, lack of data from detention centers and prison data, also police data on racially motivated violence carried out by the police, or, for example, staff in detention centers and staff in temporary reception centers are missing as well. Also, I noticed the lack of education about migrations and use of incorrect terms. So I'm not going to dive in deep since we don't have much time, but I will just introduce you with some basic information on this topic before going to the results of the research. So the criminalization of migrants began to intensify at the European level in the early 2000s within the context of the war on terror following the September 11, 2001 attacks. So nationalists and far-right parties emerged across Europe. Fear easily transformed into blame shifting onto others and political instrumentalization. From the spring of 2015, a new type of detention facility emerged. Those were hotspots, or officially presented as access points. An access point was established to strengthen border control by identifying, registering, and sorting all migrants arriving in the frontline countries, such as Italy, such as Greece, and subsequently returning them. After more than 3 years, as a result of those access points, we could witness images of self-organized camps, first in Serbia, then Bosnia and Herzegovina. Finally, in March 2018, the city of Bihać, so in north part of Bosnia, became a new access point on the Balkan Migrant Route. And after June 2018, the EU began financing Bosnia regarding the humanitarian crisis. Due to government's slow response to migration, the local population began to complain about the presence of migrants in their cities. This led to several protests in Bihać organized by local residents demanding the relocation of migrants outside the city, better management of the influx, and of course, fear began to spread through social media. Bosnia and Herzegovina, I have to say, clearly needed migrants to understand how racist society could be and how often they were not much different from xenophobes and racists that spread in Austria, Germany, and other countries. At that time, Bosnia and Herzegovina employed racial profiling in all aspects of migrant lives, along with forced relocations against their will as part of exhaustion policy. When it comes to media and fake news, so to attract readers, Bosnian media is engaged in unethical reporting, contributing to the spread of xenophobia and racism. Platforms that most spread misinformation about migrants were anonymous portals, with the portal called Anti-Migrant receiving the highest ratings for spreading hatred towards migrants and refugees. Other media sources, including Avaz and the public broadcaster RTRS, were also mentioned as highly rated in spreading disinformation. The analysis identified various tactics used in narrative construction and the spread of disinformation, including completely untrue, fabricated claims, biased reporting, fact manipulation, disinformation, and sensationalism. The report that I was using during my research also highlights the media's role in criminalizing migrants and portraying them as perpetrators, even in cases where they were victims of violence or crime. Of course, the COVID-19 pandemic worsened disinformation, with migrants being accused of introducing the virus or increasing the number of cases. Authorities at that time took measures to remove migrants from the streets and restrict their movement, while representatives of political parties were exempt from the same measures, indicating, of course, double standards. So I will go now to criminal acts committed by migrants in Sarajevo Canton from 2018 until 2020. According to police records and the data that I could reach, so in the first quarter of 2018, there was a sudden increase in the number of migrants in Sarajevo Canton, as we already mentioned. The only available police report relates to the security situation regarding the entry of migrants into Bosnia and Herzegovina, describing the difficulties and challenges faced only by police officers. Those challenges were related to the identity of the migrants, some language barriers that police officers had towards them. Also, the term illegal migrant was frequently used in those police reports in Bosnia and Herzegovina. Crime in Sarajevo Canton in 2018 compared to the same period in 2017 is characterized by 0.9% decrease in the number of recorded criminal offenses, which is 41 fewer offenses compared to 2017. According to official data from the police administration of the Ministry of Internal Affairs of Sarajevo Canton, in 2019, there were 4,126 events with characteristics of criminal offenses in Sarajevo Canton, which is 149 or 3.5% less than in 2018. In 2020, the number of events with characteristics of criminal offenses increased by 19.3% compared to 2019. According to the report, migrants were involved in 115 criminal events in 2020. From historical perspective, there were periods of increased migration, both in internal and external, that did not cause any concern regarding law and order, despite a short-term increase in the crime rate. On the other hand, periods of less migration accompanied by strong criminalization of migrants, that is greater repression, even when the crime rate did not increase. This statement corresponds to the observed period in Bosnia and Herzegovina when there was a real increase in migration, but not an increase in the crime rate. So I don't know if you can see, it's very, the font is very small, but those are crimes committed by migrants in 2020. All those 115 crimes, criminal offenses. Furthermore, comparing the amount of fake news and hate speech directed towards migrants in Bosnia and Herzegovina in 2018 and 19 with the appearance of migrants in police reports in 2020 aligns with the fact that media largely created a fertile ground for the visibility and focus on migrants as criminals. Words associated with people moving or migrating are never neutral. They influence how we perceive people and can create even greater distance between us and them. For politicians and the majority in Bosnia and Herzegovina, it was very easy to simplify the extremely complex reality by putting different people with different statuses in the same basket, forgetting that behind the term is a person with their own needs. Politicians and the general public even tried to distinguish between deserving and undeserving migrants. This is very dangerous if we accept and reach the point where we stop questioning the words used by such politicians and start normalizing them. This it for sure can build a path towards dehumanization and criminalization. I'm not saying that crimes not happened, but the problem lies in all that sensationalism that media created. Media in Bosnia and Herzegovina showed deep ignorance on the topic of migration, from really incorrect terminology to biased reporting. It was a matter, especially during 2018 and 19. It was a matter of taking sides, and unfortunately, the media chose to spread fear instead of siding with humanity. Now, these days, combating illegal migration is one of the most important priorities of Bosnian government, but also the fight against human trafficking and trafficking in human beings is very high at the European level. However, Bosnian authorities are not ready to recognize an individual as a potential victim, but consider them as illegal migrant who must be detained or who must be deported. Sometimes migrants, victims are not recognized because they do not see themselves as victims and are hesitant to report to the relevant authorities out of fear of persecution from crimes committed during, for example, trafficking, and fear of detention and deportation. Just one more sentence, like looking at this broader picture, migrants are never portrayed as victims of, for example, non-existing asylum policies or militarized approach to migration, or simply victims of an imbalanced relationship between global powers and politics. On the contrary, we have them continue to be perceived as criminals and invaders. I will finish here. But of course, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. And thank you.
Thank you, Mina. First of all, for the time and dedication you had for this research, because it means that you cared a lot also about this situation, and it's really interesting also from a scientific point of view analyze this issue of criminalization and the risk that migrants and refugees are already victims somehow of the being vulnerable for several reasons, and then there is this second risk that they are facing to be criminalized. So it's really important aspect of these migration flows. And I think in all the countries, especially in European countries, we're all facing these issues somehow. It's very typical to see the hate speech also in the main towns, rural areas, and in the news, in the communication feed as well. But most of them are really fake news, as you mentioned. Okay, so now I will ask all the audience to send the questions, and we've seen that something have already arrived, and then but first of all, we'll ask Roberta to conclude. So we have concluded all the presentation, but because there could be questions as well for her. So Roberta, if you can just introduce yourself a little bit and explain us how have you joined this project, Heartmony, and what have you done right now, and also I think you have a video, and please ask the host when you prefer to send it. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Good evening to everyone. It's good to be here and to share my experience as a participant of the Heartmony project, especially now after this presentation about pushbacks, about criminalization of migrants. Now I see again how Heartmony project is important because of this empathy and solidarity, which is promoted among local community. So as a participant of this project, I will share my experience. But beside that, I would also like to give a voice to another participants And we will also hear, because I collected like small database of their experience of the Heartmony project. So we will hear my private experience and also experience of the participants which were included in project with Generoso, with music group Generoso, and they held a great concert in Bihać, and after that they also held a workshop for the beneficiaries of the temporary reception centers in Bihać and in Sarajevo. But first of all, Marko, please, can you help me and share that video about Generoso? And thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Ost, you can go with the video.
Get it, boys! Yeah! Vai, con le spalmas. Little by little, I'm disappearing. I like it though. Church bells are hearing. It's getting harder to see my face because I'm stepping down and I'm making space. It's been too long. I'm singing to myself. I'm like the morning sun, sitting on the kitchen shelf, open the window, trying to set me free. My roommate would die, but now I can see. Making space for love, 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 making space for love. Just know you're in God. I wanna go for love. All together. La 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 la. I hope it will be enough. I know it doesn't matter what you said, 'cause I'm missing so much more than I could be. I'm choosing this path, even if I get hurt, even if I stress out. I wanna go for love. I don't know where to start. Neither how I feel stop. Just know I go in God. I wanna go for love. Come on, guys. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. Go for love. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. Go for love. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. Go for love. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. Go for love. I'm choosing this route. Even if I get hurt, even if I succeed, I wanna go for love. I don't know where to start. La 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 la. Neither how I feel stop. La 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 la. Just know I go in God. I wanna go for love. La 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 la. Thank you once again. Good night. Good night.
Je bilo dobro? Bihać! Evo ovako, ispred GRS-a Bihać želimo da vam se zahvalim na vašem dolasku. Također želimo da se zahvalimo Generoso iz Italije. So in the name of GRS and Bihać, I want to thank you for coming, all these people and also you guys. Hvala vam što ste prisustvovali u svim našim aktivnostima in prošle godine dana. Thank you for participating in all our activities in the past 1 year.
Okay, that was a video about Heartmony project, a short part of the project. So at the beginning, there was a day center in Bihać, which was a great place for me. And the other part was a concert of Group Generoso. And it's interesting, if you remember what Amina says in previous presentation, how local protested against migrants. Through this project, locals had a chance to make friendship with refugees and migrants. And that was the really special moment of this project. So we are still in contact and we're friends. They're not just refugees to us. They're not just migrants. They're not just passive subjects who needs our humanitarian help. They're not just passive subjects of detention. Like, there are more. So I'm really happy that I'm part of this project, which connects locals and open their eyes for the life of migrants and refugees. As Amina says, they are persons with the names. And locals had a chance through these projects to get to know the person behind that really heavy name migrant. So I will read some of the testimonies, which are beautiful. One of them is mine. You don't have to know which one is it, but the others are from the girls, from the boys who were part of these projects. They were on workshops held by Generoso in Temporary Reception Center in Lipa and in Temporary Reception Center in Ušivak. And they witnessed something really special, so I will read those testimonies. It's not going to be too long, and it's going to be very inspirational. You will see. So the first one. I was driven to join this project by the organizers' enthusiasm and a few profoundly important words that personally resonate with me, describing Heartmony. I related these words to myself. In the end, I realized how sparingly I had used them, especially in the context of refugees, and how little I knew about what refugees go through on the so-called Balkan Route. I witnessed the practical meaning of the motto, not by breed alone, which fights against the ghettoization of refugees, approaching not only humanitarian aid, but also the cultivation of talents, promoting well-being and social inclusion. This girl mentioned ghettoization of the migrants. She noticed when she was in Temporary Reception Center Lipa that migrants and refugees were really far away from the local community. And they are not really welcomed in a local community. Okay, they are somewhere far away in their own ghetto, but they're not part of our world. And this girl, she was 17 when she realized it's a ghetto. And somehow when I read her testimony, I know that she will continue to cultivate our little local community to be more open. The second one. The Generoso concert in Bihać was very important to me because we were all, regardless of our origin, became equal in song and dance. This incredible experience brought the center of Bihać to life, facilitating a meeting between refugees and the local population, often isolated in reception centers, she means of the migrants. This event was one of the ways how refugees and locals could share their joy of art, creating a space for love, understanding, and unity. Now the next testimonies will be from the Temporary Reception Center Ušivak. Ušivak is in Sarajevo, and it's a temporary reception center for the families with the children and for the minors without minors without families. They started their route on their own. So The workshop with the youngest participant was the most touching, perhaps even the most challenging. For the first time, I personally saw children from Afghanistan who had traversed the so-called Balkan Route. Their stories, experience, hope, courage, zest for life are a true life lesson. This encounter with them deeply changed my perspective and prompted introspection. Then there was a boy who also was participant in a temporary reception center Ušivak, and his testimony is like this. The contact us with the people on the move, opening our eyes, often clouded by prejudices and misconceptions. The workshop at temporary reception Ušivak was particularly emotional, as I observed musicians and children playing, singing, and dancing, realizing the gap between us locals and people on the move. Their incredible wish for life, despite going through challenging situation, was not only inspiring, but also motivation for a deeper understanding of their reality. And next experience are from temporary reception center Lipa. And Lipa is for adult males, single males, and it's 25 kilometers away from city center of Bihać, and is tin container settlement with a high fence, and when you enter Lipa, it's prohibited to take a photo. So musicians, Generoso, held a workshop in Ušivak and also held a workshop in Lipa. And that was really interesting for participants. And this is their testimony. Beneficiaries from Afghanistan, Pakistan, Syria, Cuba, and Morocco united in their love for music, creating bridges between their tradition. It was nice to see them enthusiastically sharing musical elements from their countries, radiating pride in their cultural heritage. Such cultural activities have a deep and positive impact on the quality of life for the residents. They encourage individuals to discover their talents, elevating their self-images. This settlement Lipa, and it was like true discovery also for Generoso. Somehow they were really, they were in the city center, they were among children, and then they go far away with in a really bad road to Lipa, and then they found single men who were eager to do anything. Like they need, it offers them to give them a better quality of life. And at that moment, when I was there, I realized that refugees, at that point, they were teachers to the children. Like there was a Generoso teaching them, and then people from Afghanistan, they started to share their music, their dance, Atan, and at that point they were teaching Generoso. So that was really nice sharing of their cultural heritage and sharing what they truly are. And somehow on their way through the so-called Balkan Route, which is really terrible, they lost good perception on themselves. So this kind of event, even though they are temporary, helps them to build this positive image on themselves. And after Lipa, you saw at the beginning the musician from Generoso. They were in a day center in Bihać, and Emina already said that day center in Bihać is a place where people on the move, refugees, they can spend their time really quality in a good way. And they can cook their food, engage in creative activities, receive psychosocial support. And when I entered this space for the first time, then I realized that even though we have container settlement, which is really far away, projects like Day Center and then musicians in that Day Center, it opens your mind that like if you don't have a good reception toward refugees, you can always do more. So through Heartmony project, you can build a more hospitable societies. That was my experience, and that was also experience of the one participant. This project educates us in humanity and stimulates our creative potentials to find better and more systematic solution for the reception of refugees, promoting their well-being and social inclusion. And that would be all for me. I am open for any kind of questions, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Roberta, for having underlined the impact that Project Heartmony had on you and all the other participants, and also this particular aspect that the project helped to build bridges among refugees and the local communities, which is more than what we expected at the beginning, of the project. So it's really interesting as an output. So now we are a bit late, but we have 3 short questions. So, I mean, whoever raised the hand to answer before could do it, between Vedran, Amina, Roberta, and Vedran, no? Amina. So, there are 3 short questions. So one is related to the difference among migrants and refugees. So maybe it's for Vedran more because we're talking about the legal background, no? Because in Europe right now, it's quite significant, such difference in the political debate. So the European countries said, okay, the refugees, we can host them. We have to prove them, their status, but not the migrants, no? So how JRS is, how it's your approach with this difference, no? If you have any, thank you. This is one. I tell all the 3 questions, so then you can decide. Then the second one is only a question related to the Cuban people, how and why they arrived there in Bosnia. Okay, this could be interesting to say. 1 minute. And the third thing is that maybe you have understood or you have read the news now that recently Italy got an agreement with Albania for the creation of temporary hosting center of refugees there. And so what is your idea about this, if you heard? And yes, JRS, and on this approach to make the first reaching point outside Europe, and then eventually decide to host refugees. No, this is the role of this temporary center in Albania. The floor is yours. I don't know. Maybe better.
Yes, sure. I'm sorry. I hope that I remembered all the questions. So, as you know, that the difference between migrant and refugees lies in the reason for their movement, actually, and their legal status under international laws. So migrants, they have reasons for moving, like they move for different reasons, including seeing better economic opportunities, education, family gathering, reunification, or simply a desire for a change in life environment. Also, there are some legal statuses, but refugees, for example, their reason for moving they are forced to flee from their home countries due to war, all different ways of violence. So these are quite different people. So we have like a people on the move, and in that group we have migrants, refugees, and other categories. But for us personally, for Jesuit Refugee Service, we are never making these differences on that way. All of them, they are the same for us because they're leaving their homes, because they're not happy, because they don't have a future there. They don't have an opportunity for making like a good life for them in their countries. That can be in one moment like education, like migrants, they're leaving the countries because of education, and on the second hand we have like refugees leaving the countries for the war. But if they come to us, if they're asking for help, that means that they really need help. Here in Bosnia, most of them are migrants, the people who are leaving the countries because of bad education, bad economic situation. But still, we are together with them, and we are supporting them and helping them to get a chance for a better life. On another side, we have a lot of refugees from Ukraine, as you already know, because they left their homes because of the war. On another hand, we have refugees also from Afghanistan because some things are also happening there. So that means that still we are together from the whole group of the people on the move, not just for refugees or not just for migrants. We are here in Bosnia, also in Southeast Europe, in the region. I forgot to mention that here in the region, Jesuit Refugee Service, we have 4 offices. One office is here in Bosnia, and then in Croatia, Kosovo, and Serbia as well. So we are accompanying them through all the route here in Western Balkans and trying to be with them, to give them hope, to give them to be to find a way how they can feel welcome in our countries.
Okay.
So I hope that I
Really
answered to
clear.
your question.
Maybe Emina could say something about the Cuban, if she's still there.
Yes, I'm here, and I'm gonna be more than happy to talk about Cubans, because when
In 1 minute, 2 minutes maximum, because
okay, thank you. Okay, I'm gonna try to be very short. Well, when I started working like in JRS, it was basically like 2 years ago. I was hired as a Spanish translator for Cubans. I was also shocked at the beginning. I was like, okay, Cubans in Bosnia? Are you sure? So anyway, I had a chance to get closer to them, to do different activities, creative dance, as you saw. And I was also there to help them in, because some of them also asked for asylum in Bosnia. So they, besides doing those fun like things and creative things, they told me a lot about Cuba. Like most of those things I didn't know. So what is important to say, the reason why they left the country is basically politics, government, financial situation. Like a couple of times I would ask them, I was like, okay, I saw like those beaches, those hotels, nice places. And they told me like, yeah, it is for you, but not for us. So I was not even able to understand how come that they cannot use those hotels, those beaches, like nothing. So they were working monthly for like $20, 20 euros, like a month. They were not even able to buy a phone. They were so limited. The like from the stories that I've heard from them is like the government was creating like special cards for them so they can keep track of the amount of money that is entering to the country, and the country, or I mean government, will decide how much amount of money that they will give them. So medicines, they were like none. They had to buy it on a black market or something like that, and they were very very expensive. People were dying like every single day, and for them to leave the country, to be able to leave the country, they had to sell a house. So they had a deal with their families. Okay, we're going to move to this house, and this one person from that house will buy a flight ticket, like a ticket to leave the country. And they flew to Russia, of course, with a stop in Turkey, and after that they would go to Serbia. At the beginning, they would stay there. Like now, they don't Serbia shut down their visa, so that's why we cannot see them anymore here, unfortunately, because yes, I had a very nice memories with them. So they will always have a special place in my heart because I guess I was the closest with them. So they would usually stay in Serbia and Russia, and they would work, save some money so they can continue the way. And their goal was Spain because of the language barrier, like because for them it was the easiest because of Spanish. So I hope that I didn't
thank
go
you.
too long.
No, it was really interesting.
So I
Well,
can
just the last
continue.
thing, maybe better again to you, maybe because it's more technical question as about this agreement among Italy and Albania. If you heard about this.
If you
Yes.
want,
Oh,
if you want,
Amina,
I
yes.
can also add
Yeah,
after Vedran or whatever you.
Sure, if you want to now immediately, it's not a problem for me. But okay,
Yeah.
I think that you are talking about this the situation that that Italy will build two reception centers in Albania that will
Yeah.
host a maximum of 3,000 migrants. I think that's the same thing. Yes. I think that this issue came because of the more than 2,000, 3,000 people who died trying to cross the Mediterranean Sea in search of safety and the future in Europe. So the situation highlights the complex challenges that European countries are facing with balancing the border control and humanitarian responsibilities. So Italy's initiative in Albania, while potentially easing some pressure on Italian resources, raises significant questions about the treatment of migrants and the refugees to international asylum rights. So the tragic statistic of deaths in the Mediterranean underscore the desperate circumstances that lead many to undertake such journeys, emphasizing the urgency and gravity of addressing the border migration crisis. So I don't know if I was good enough, but maybe Amina also
Maybe
can give
Amina
a
would add something. Yeah.
comment. Yeah.
Yeah, I will just quickly. But I think that we have to be really clear that EU asylum law really should not be actually applied outside of the European Union, and that practice of sending anyone to a country where they could, we don't know, like, but they could be at risk of human rights violation can be can have really devastating consequences for people seeking asylum, and protection from refoulement is called is really a basic right of asylum seekers, of refugees. So that is my personal point. But I also wanted to say that from GRS course and the values and things that we are doing related to this migrant and refugee term, I don't mind using migrant all the time, because we when we want to help person in need, when we want to support people on the move, we will not for sure ask for their status. We are not going to those low procedures, and I don't see anything bad in using term migrant, because not using migrant as a kind of umbrella term will just lead to a criminalization of the same term, and we don't want that.
Yeah. Here, thank you for this perspective as well. And so now let me really thank all the speakers and the guests we have for the story of JRS, the role of JRS in Bosnia, the history of the Balkan Route, and the experience of Roberta, the research of Amina. Well, everything was really inspiring and interesting. So now, and I thank you also, Russell, Luisa, and everyone who helped us to host this session, and Clara as well for the preparation. And right now, just the last thing is the next appointment we are going to have. So please take note of this. So the next session we have will be on Wednesday, the 21st January 2024. So next year, 5:30 p.m. So the same hour, and the topic will be the migration flows in Italy. And we will have an NGO from Sicily called Cooperativa Foco. They will be our speaker. They have been very committed in welcoming refugees, migrants, and also they will offer us a perspective of the island of Lampedusa, which is really well known when we talk about the issue of migration flows. So thank again everyone for the attention, and I take the opportunity to send to all best Christmas wishes as well, and greetings to all the beneficiaries, the people in contact with JRS, Caritas Banja and all our friends from Egypt, from Lebanon, from Spain, from Italy who have joined this session. Thank you and see you again really soon, I hope. Bye-bye to everyone.
Bye-bye. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Open microphone.
Greetings.
Thank you.
Grazie,
Bye.
Milan, Mina. Bye-bye.
Vaya con
Greetings
Dios.
from Generoso.
Vaya
Ciao,
con
ciao.
Dios.
Bye.
Ciao, Mina. Vaya con Dios.
Ciao.
Ciao, 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 Vedran. Ciao.
Thank you. Bye.
Grazie mille. Goodbye.
Ciao a
Ciao.
tutti.
Bye, ciao,
Grazie
ciao.
Anna per il link.